so we can use the rope and save it for other things. Well, why don't you come on in and join me? This is the sewing room of Yankee, and as you can see, it's made out of all different pieces and parts of things that had nowhere else to go. And there's the sewing machine, and then around here we keep all the threads and bins for fabrics. And notice there are two portals there. So we're below decks, but we're above the water line, and the light off the water glows in this little space. It's just wonderful. And all the pipes up above are for air movement, circulation down in this part of the ship. Oh, and see these hooks all along here? They go all throughout this whole region. It used to be for hammocks for the men who worked on the ship. At night they would all tuck into hammocks and rock away until dawn. Then we have other places where we stow things. And then down below here, we actually have let me move this chair. We actually have a little cupboard that I open by pulling this, and inside are other bins of things that we use down here. Then there's a little desk and chair. And even wet paint signs get used. And drawers that have nowhere to go. So, and picture frames that never got used. So it's a really fun little room to work in. Well, here we are. I don't know if you're going to want to last through undoing this entire hammock. It's much more complicated than I thought. I can tell you stories. In fact, I could tell you a story that happened right here just a few weeks ago. We've had a very stormy summer. It's been just raging, winds and lightning and thunder and rain so thick that if you put your head up, you would drown. It's coming down in just buckets, just gulping down. And it's been like that every other day. It seemed like there's another storm out on the tail of another storm, and just wild here. Well, this one particular storm a few weeks ago was 35-mile-an-hour winds right here, breaking between the pier and Yankee. And we were all battened down. All the other tugs were, battened down. There was nobody around. And just this dark, dark, black day. And then all of a sudden, Richard had been back with the hens, and he was walking toward the forward part of the ship. I was down here, right where I am right now, sitting right here. And Richard came down to about right around the scuttlebutt, and he heard this loud snap. And it was our water, our line from the land to here that was for water for Yankee. So he looked out the portal to see what had happened, and he saw only sea. And he ran down this ladderway here, and he said, "Victoria, guess what? We're out to sea. Hurry!" So I climbed over myself, got up the ladderway, got up there. I looked out, and I thought, oh my gosh, what do I do? I didn't know what to do. I had no idea. All I saw was the land getting farther and farther and farther away. I had no idea. I was so frightened. I turned to Richard, and he said, "We have to pray." And I thought, okay. And I couldn't pray. So I found my phone. I picked it up, called a friend, a dear friend who has helped us with prayer many times before. And he said 2 words. He said, "Be still." And when he said that, I felt completely free. Just saying, "Be still." In fact, to the point where I remember giggling lightly on the phone. Like, I don't know, I just felt light. And then I made 2 quick calls. They just came. I never thought of, I didn't even know I had the number of this one fellow. He's a fellow from a tug over here. And so I called him. He answered the phone. He said, "I'm in bed." And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you help us?" He called the head of the tug company, the captain. And I don't know who else, but that was it. And he said, "Don't worry." So I said, "I know." And then I called one more, thinking maybe somebody more immediate, because I didn't even know how far away these fellows live, whether they even live on the island. And so then I called the people at the mansion, and they were 20 minutes away or something like that. They said, we'll come right there. And so I thought, oh, 20 minutes. We could be who knows where. But no, the stillness returned. Then I found I had strength and the wherewithal, the thought, the ability to do something that even on a sunny day is frightening to do. People are afraid to walk out on this narrow rubway. It's a rub rail that it's made of steel that goes around the hip line of the ship. It's only 8 inches wide and even narrower up in the peak of the ship. And I just found myself in the wind, just going right along that, just inching along, no problem, no fear. And then I saw the one line that was still holding Yankee. It's a big, thick line, and I flung myself down onto the line, which I never, like a trapeze artist, I've never done anything like that before. I couldn't believe I did it. And then I inched myself, along the line, and, like I was Buster Keaton or something. And then I reached for this railroad tie, spear, or what do they call it? Nail, a big, thick railroad spike that came out of the piling over on the pier. I was able to get my foot, the tip of my foot, kind of up on that, and it got caught, my sole got caught in the front button of the thing, and I was able to pull myself onto it, hold onto it, scurry up the piling with my legs, against all that rough wood, and I got up that and got my waist up to the pier, and I was able to actually get flopped onto the pier like a dead fish. But I did get onto the pier. And then I thought, okay, here I am. And then I thought, now what? And another idea came. Richard, the whaling spear! Send down the whaling spear! It's this big long spear. It goes 2 decks. It's so tall, and then way up in the sky. It's a 25-foot long piece of oak, heavy oak handle all the way down this thing, and then a heavy steel hook and spear. And Richard got that. He managed to get that. He's climbing down, get the whole thing unlatched. It's all battened on all the way down. He got it over to the bow of the ship, and I was able to get it in just the tip of it, holding on to this handle that I could never have lifted a whole piece that long out straight. I don't know how. The wind must have been my friend then. It kept that spear up. I was able to, even that spear was suspended by wind. And then I was able to reach it barely around this line that was holding the gangplank, which was down in, way down below the ship by then. Of course, it was not even connected. And I got it around this bit, and I was able to pull this gangplank just enough to hold it, because my whole fear was that off to this side was the electrical line, which hadn't broken yet, because we had a lot of extra line cable all curled up on the pier, and it went like out to sea, but it hadn't broken yet, but it was going to. So there I was, holding everything in stillness, and it didn't split, it didn't catch fire, it didn't explode, nothing happened, and all of a sudden it was like a chase scene. People were coming from everywhere. Two cars from 2 different directions coming to the middle of the pier. They went like, and all these men flew out of the cars. And then coming down the pier, from the perpendicular pier, were these 3 guys from the tug at the end of the pier. All of a sudden, you know what? It was like a reunion. There wasn't fear. They had no fear. We just had this wonderful sense of oneness together. It was an adventure, an incredible adventure. Nothing had changed with Yankee, but we just felt this togetherness. And the tugboat captain came, and he got in and revved up the engines of the tug. He couldn't get it out yet because the ship was blocking it. And so we threw a line across, and then about 5 guys were holding onto this line, pulling. It wasn't making any progress. The wind was still working out, pushing out. But soon there was a sense of calm. The wind had stopped, and the tug was able to be released. And through yelling, through a few different people down the decks, we were able to communicate with the tug captain, Jim, and he was able to know how much to nudge it and when and what we were doing and how it was coming together, and it all came together. And we were all sopping wet. We were all just like little wet noodles, and we just hugged each other in joy. It was just such a sense of peace and joy and power.
I wasn't going to try to.
Yeah.
Victoria,
So
one word. One word.
Stay calm, and the winds will arrive.
I would have said, ooh.
Oops.
And the power was not from us. It was just this wonderful sense of divine love encircling us all. And it made me feel something I'd never quite, two things. One, be still. It made me realize from then on, every time I'm in a pickle, I'm not going to be hysterical or fearful or frozen with fear. I'm going to be still. Because I realized help is always at hand, right at hand. It's not even coming in from cars. It's just, that's the result of the peace and the stillness, where everyone is listening in harmony with each other. Everyone sees the need and fills it together. But it's all divinely a divine impulse of just love and care and intelligence just coming together. I just saw that, and I just felt it, and I just knew it was a true fact. It was a scientific fact. And then the other thing that came to mind was this idea. I guess it's in the news a lot right now, I guess. This idea of victimization, where everybody's becoming a victim. Everybody, is being categorized into some kind of an impossible place that you have no control over. And for me, I felt a victim of the weather for a moment. That this weather could be evil, could be harmful, that there could be a power greater than good, that there could be an end to goodness, that something could be harmed or hurt or worse. And I just thought, no, there is no victimization. It's in the news. I think it says, that this person is a victim, this woman or this person of some coloration in their skin or some history in their background or some lack of education or lack of money or lack of something, some horrible lack or some horrible misunderstanding or some horrible hate has victimized. But we can't be victims unless we succumb to it. And I just thought there was a turning point in my thought where I didn't succumb to being a victim of the weather. I turned to this be still and let all of that go away. It just drained away. And the answers were already there. The answer was there in ways that actually could meet my need with my understanding. It wasn't something so complicated that I couldn't have figured out. It was right there. And just meeting the human need, right there. And I just was so grateful. And I just thought, we don't have to be victims because we don't have to give in to it. We don't have to give in to victimhood. We give in to our, divine naturehood. It's whatever the word is. I'm sure there's something more poetic, but there's nothing more beautiful than the truth. And I just felt so excited. I'm really glad I haven't got one lick of this thing done, but it's going to flow. It's going to come apart, and I'm going to use this line for something useful, and I'm going to show you it all done and finished. You watch. Much love. I'm so glad you're here. I never would have told that story if you hadn't been here. And sometimes, good has to be recorded. And now it's all over the world.